So real quick, about 3 steps prior to being able to complete the transformation to get this guy safely back in the box, I snapped a ratchet joint. The ratchet joint is at the base of the chest to the armature that controls the shoulder joint. You have to kind of manipulate both ratchets in order to move it all the way down. The bottom ratchet is already lubricated, so I take it that they know it was already an issue. It's just a lot of leverage that you have there. I wasn't perhaps as cognizant as I should have been, although I was really putting my best foot forward here. And unfortunately, I snapped it. Shout out to Scott, who allowed me to take a look at this and was a complete gentleman about it, but I certainly owe him one. Very unfortunate, and put a dark cloud onto a figure that, as you'll see, I really enjoyed up until that point. The Patreon folks are in for, I'm sure, quite an emotional ride on the afterthoughts. Let's get started. What's up, everybody? It's your favorite Raptor Killer's favorite nerd, and today we are looking at the Planet X IDW-inspired masterpiece scale Grimlock, which I'm super excited about taking a look at, but also very cautious because I've heard some horror stories. I think I've already found one of the components of those horror stories, but we'll talk about that when we get to the figure. That being said, this is a stunning piece out of the box, but we're not here to be captivated by pretty lights, paints, and sculpts. We're here to have a critical look at the figure. So let's do so, but in order to do so, we'll start with accessories. He comes with a second set of hands for the deco change. If you prefer red hands, this is a comic thing, then he has those available to you, and they are articulated the same way, which we'll talk about when we get to the figure. However, it should be noted, I don't believe these are painted. So the proper hands actually have some paint on them for what it's worth. He comes with his iconic gun, painted top to bottom, plus some red accents, but the red got a little bit outside the lines here. Individual results will vary on that. Otherwise, great sculpt and good paint. A little hollow underneath, not the biggest deal in the world. And he'll hold that just fine with it actually sliding. Just be careful of this claw here. But it slides into his hand, not unlike kind of old school Make Toys stuff. But it slides in, and then this comes down. And actually that claw sitting a little off, but he can hold it no problem. And of course comes with his iconic sword as well. And we have a little bit of magnet stuff going on down here, I believe, which we'll show later on, but we do have this translucent blade, and then we have the red plastic and some gold accents, so nice enough. And he'll hold that as well by just pegging it into the palm of the hand, typical masterpiece style. He does have a gimmick. This piece, which you'll see fall off later in the review, is removable. And this piece sits in there. You can put a battery in there. It shows you in the box, I would imagine, what kind to put in there. I don't know what it is. And it's not included, so I don't have it, because I don't just keep random batteries on hand. Then we close this back up, and then the sword magnet that we talked about before, when you apply it to there, it's supposed to turn the lights on and off for the eyes, which is cool, but, you know me, I'd rather have them painted. All right, like a Friday night, let's get after it. So the head sculpt is money, and I'm telling you, like, you're just gonna hear me kind of, I don't know, like, applaud this figure in many, many, many ways. A couple things we gotta gripe on, but like, it is sculpted and painted beautifully. Head sculpt is perfect. Perfection. It's painted perfectly. I could have used a little bit more of a vibrant, maybe metallic red eye paint, but it's a nitpick for sure. It's perfect. Look at all that painted up there. Love it. And you know what it's painted, right? Silver and gold. And then for the head itself, it's on a ball peg, and it's on a hinge at the base of the neck. Using both, you get up to there, down to there, swivel, a little bit of, not really any confused Grimlock look. And then we have the ears, which move as well. Now, let's go ahead and get the big gripe out of the way. There's a waist swivel, as you can see. It is scary tight. I am going to straighten it one last time, and I don't plan on moving it again. It does work, but it is not toleranced properly. You do get an ab crunch, though, significant one. I wish it was ratcheted, because it is it has a lot of weight on this figure, so once it crosses a certain threshold, it tends to go. But other than that, no big deal. It also has a teapot action back and forth from the chest into the abdomen. Silver and gold is painted translucent over gold, looks fantastic. Sculpt work looks beautiful. No issues. Shoulders. We have a ratcheted joint in the shoulder up here for outward movement, get you 90 degrees. We have a secondary one where it meets the chest for the 360 around. And then the whole assembly is on a hinge that gets you a butterfly joint. What more could you want? Whole thing is painted. Then we have some silver accents and then the gold translucent. All right. Double jointed elbow. Love to see it. Love to see it. Great range as well. All that silver. Bicep swivel. Little limited, but I think should get you anything you really want. Moving down, silver paint, the other type of silver paint, gold paint, red paint, gunmetal paint on the hands. Just, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's beautiful. Wrist, swivel. There's a little bit of up and down movement. The fingers are independently articulated with a base pin knuckle, a secondary knuckle for the fingers, and then the thumb is on a ball peg that comes out to a secondary. No, it's just on a ball peg. Pardon me. So, should work just fine. Same for the other side. We'll get these up. We'll back out. Talk about the hips. So we have hip skirts. We'll get them up and out of the way. They're fully painted with the red accents. 2 exposed universal joints. Ratcheted out to the side for the full Van Damme. Ratcheted forward and back. Oop, I popped the ball peg off of there. Oh, it's not a ball peg, it's a swivel, so I'll fix that. I hope that's not a sign of things to come, am I right, Scott? And then back to there for the full Monty. See, let me tell you what's happening here. I'm getting excited because of just how much I like the build and look of this guy, that I'm starting to take the rumors that I've heard for granted, and I shouldn't. I should stay focused, which is what I'm going to do from here on out, I promise. Do my best. Thigh swivel. This is a little bit of an issue as well. So he has double jointed knees. This joint is ugly as hell, but the secondary joint is super tight ratchet, but it does work. Now, on this one, the ratcheted joint tends to bend first before you lose the secondary joint, which is the way it should be. So this one is actually kind of better toleranced and built and assembled than this one. And then the kneecap does move as well. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not even sure if that initial bend on this one is intended to be there. You know, like, I'm not sure if it's in, I think that this is supposed to be the knee. And then it has that little extra oomph if you need it. Whereas this one, the ratchet's so tight that the oomph goes first, if that makes sense. But beautifully decoed. Same goes for the lower legs. We got the 3 tones of silver. And then we have the gold on the shoes. You get a toe tilt down, a toe tilt up, and a toe rocker that cheats for the ankles because there's no real movement in the ankles. And then we have all this. Uh-oh. Is it all starting to fall apart? I'm not even sure where this goes, but I will find out. But there's we have the back, not the cleanest in the world, but it is Grimlock, right? So some of this stuff is supposed to be there and is decoed properly. Wish these got a little bit more back. Other than that, pretty much good to go. Size comparison wise, I don't have anything that necessarily makes a whole bunch of sense to show him off with, but there he is with the Fans Toys Grimlock, so slightly taller, which I think is perfectly fine. No issues whatsoever. Should fit in either way, so good to go. Well, let's get him transformed. Let's say the prayer, the third-party prayer. Dear Lord, don't let this toy break on me. And if it does break, let it break on someone else. All right, let's, I don't think that's how it goes, actually, but it's all I got at the moment. So let's open this panel up and tuck in the fist. Close this panel down. Bring the T-Rex foot up. And then the DuPont claw, what is that called on a dog? Something like that, right? And then this joint that sits inside the chest, we want to rotate down to the bottom, which is actually a little tricky. But it's just tricky to get it to stay there because of the joints. But we'll deal with it as it comes. All right, same on this side. We'll open up this panel, flip the hand in, close this panel. bring down the T-Rex, the paws, dog paws, bring down the DuPont claw. I don't think that's what it's called, but I don't know. And then rotate, and it takes some force, and I'm trying to have my kid gloves on with this guy. Rotate that joint there down to the bottom. All right, fold the ears down, untab the backpack, bring it up, flip these panels down on both sides. And these come around and encapsulate like kind of typical Grimlock stuff. And the head comes forward, but this piece comes down and it has to catch. So we'll put one in there, and we'll put one in there, and then the whole torso has to sit over top of the chest piece and then lock in place. I'm not exactly sure how it does it, but it does it. So good on it for that. Moving on. All right, we're gonna go in stages for this the best we can. So this is where supposedly the issue happens, right? So we're gonna take the pelvis piece here and get that out of the way. And then we're going to work on one leg at a time. We're gonna untab this. We're gonna flip this whole panel up, fold in one, fold in two. We're gonna take the and rotate that up so that it fits right back in that cavity nicely. And we're going to take this panel and bend these back. All right. We're going to bend the knee at that first bend that we've kind of already talked about in extreme detail. And then we're going to get the tail out and over around to the other side. And then this is one section and this is a second section. We're going to bend this section inward so that we can create a bit of a gap here on the back end. Now that we've blown everything apart, so to speak, we're gonna tuck everything in that we can. So this piece comes around, this piece comes around, and this piece comes down, right? No, hold on. This piece comes in because we've already gone out. But it is a tight ratchet, so it needs to go all the way in. All right. And then this, make sure that everything is lined up properly here, or you're gonna hate yourself later. Hip skirts closed, just do everything you can. This will come around, and I'm gonna open up this hip skirt here and move this leg out just to give myself as much room on the other underside, so that this piece will come around and tab into there, and hopefully that's pretty close. All right, now we're gonna try to repeat that for the same this on the opposite side. So flip open, we're gonna blow it all apart, right? Blow everything open, so to speak. Open. We'll collapse these two panels. Tuck our foot in. And open this up and take that out. All right, now we're gonna separate at that first knee joint so that we can get the tail out and over. And then we're going to create a gap here at the back end. We're also gonna fold in this, and we're gonna fold in this. I can't remember if it's supposed to be, I think it's just like that. Okay, and then we're going to use our ratchet at our knee and bend forward. And then spin all of this around. I just had that same piece fall off. There we go. Oh, rotated the leg. There it is. All right. All right. There we go. Cool. Let me make sure everything's lined up. I'll put that piece back on. And then we're gonna just start tabbing all this together. Oop. God bless it. There we go. Take your knees, tuck them in. Take your tail and extend. Extend, turn around and collapse. And then peg all that in as well. But we're not out of the woods yet. But we are getting there. The last part that has to kind of come together. So it has this piece here, that has to come up. There's also 2 slots here for the 2 pegs on the legs. There, that's pegged in perfectly. And then you just have to, I think, bring this down so that this pegs into that. And then you have these 2 side pieces. They come around and clip into the legs as well. And then, let's see, open this stuff up, because this is all panel stuff that has to kind of get filleted anyway. So here's, you see there's a hinge there and one here at the base. And then these as well. So then, to the best of my knowledge, like this has to fit like underneath there. And then these pieces come down, tab in, and then fill in. Come down, tab in, and fill in. And I don't have it quite right, but it's gonna be close enough. All right, so then the last thing to do is these thigh pieces, like you'll notice that the feet are backwards and they won't correct themselves. So the hip pieces, they have to come up. You have to unlock them and rotate them up, and that will allow you to move this whole piece around to the other side. Now that's the bicep swivel. So if you move the shoulders in robot mode, you should be able to get the stuff that you want out of that range of motion too, which I criticized earlier. All right, same for this side. Untab from the back, rotate up, whew, rotate the bicep around, fix our claws, and that's it. I'll clean them up, we'll take a look at them. So look, much like the robot mode, he is amazing and simultaneously not without issue. So the one issue that you're gonna notice is a balance issue, and that's because of the feet and the shape of the feet, that it's going to have a tendency to lean back. Now, as you saw when we started this, it is definitely possible to pose him. He just lends himself to more dynamic poses and to more weight distributed at the front rather than the back, which is kind of accurate for a T-Rex anyway. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. You know I hate figures that can't stand, but this one can stand. It's just they control kind of the fulcrum at which it stands, which I'm not mad at. I'm not mad at. The same paint comes through beautifully. We do have an ankle rocker on the T-Rex feet. You can see it better here. Other than that, you just get an additional kind of ankle hinge, same as the arms. The arms are on a ball peg, so they'll rotate. And then you have an elbow, and then the fingers are individually, or the claws are individually articulated at 2 points. The tail does hinge 1, 2, 3, and you can get up and down. So pretty well done. The neck, left, right, up, down. It is limited, but it's there. And then the head gets you a little up, a lot down. Using both side to side, it's fair. Not the greatest, but it's fair. Head sculpt is magnificent. And then the jaw does open to an extreme degree, and the tongue you can articulate as well. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. I mean, it's beautiful. It's not user-friendly, but it's beautiful. I love it. I'll be honest with you. And the transformation sucks. Specifically those couple points, but I'm not mad at it. Size comparison-wise, there it is next to the Takara, or that might be the Hasbro Grimlock. There it is next to the official Masterpiece Grimlock, I guess I'll say, and next to Tiger Tracks. So huge. He's huge, so to speak. Final thoughts wise, we'll start with the negatives, and it really is just, it's two things, right? For one, it's the build consistency. We have some ratchets in the legs that aren't working well, whereas others are working maybe arguably too well. And in some ways, it kind of distracts you from which joint you should be actually using when you're articulating the figure. So that's just a build and assembly issue. The same issue applies to the waist swivel, which is just ungodly tight and scary. And I recommend that if yours is anything like his, that you use extreme caution. The second issue that I have with this guy is namely clearances during the transformation. Getting those legs to work properly, not the easiest thing in the world, and then getting that last panel to go in, not the easiest thing in the world. And after coming off of the back of the two Moon Studios, I am getting a little tired of flexing plastic around other plastic in order to get the transformation to actually fit in properly. It just comes across as unprofessional and unpolished, and this company has a fair amount of experience now, plus this design is fairly sophisticated where they should have been able to probably do better. But honestly, that's my only real issues with this guy. I could nitpick on the T-Rex not being able to balance himself 100%, but the thing is when you have him in the proper T-Rex position, he really does lend himself to balancing. So like, I can't criticize a company for making the creature do what the creature's supposed to do in order to stand properly. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if it works, and it does work. So yeah. Far more positives though, articulated out the wazoo, to include butterfly joints and ab crunch. Just everything you'd possibly want in a big bulky figure, and that's not easy to do. It's not easy to do in a slim figure, it's especially not easy to do with a bulky figure. Every joint you could possibly want is pretty much here. And as you can see in these poses, as a result, it lends itself to incredibly dynamic positioning. It's painted from top to bottom. It leaves no stone unturned. In fact, in some places where it has silver paint, it went the extra mile and added a different layer of silver paint to different accents just to accentuate the beautiful sculpt. And while we're on the topic of sculpt, the sculpt is magnificent. It looks just like the IDW representation to a T. It's menacing, it's intimidating, it's powerful. My only issue with how good this figure is in my mind, I would want them to do the rest of the Scavengers, but instead it looks like they've already announced some more Dinobots. And I don't want a Dinobot team from IDW. I want the Scavengers and I want Grimlock there. But that's more of an MP and not a YP, you know what I mean? My problem versus your problem. So if you're in the market for an IDW Grimlock or just a cool Grimlock or just a cool Transformer or a cool T-Rex, this thing is pretty spectacular. Just be aware of some build issues and some clearance issues. It does play a significant part in your enjoyment of the figure during the transformation and posing process, but once you have them posed on your shelf, you're going to be perfectly happy. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Until next time, take care.